The company analyzed in this presentation is the Fortune 500 company Nike, done by Audrey Sinkbell and Almira Pillay. We will evaluate the company, industry, and competitor analysis. Nike is a company that manufactures, designs, and advertises athletic apparel, athletic footwear, athletic accessories, and athletic equipment. Nike operates globally under the Nike brand as well as Converse and Hurley international brands. Nike is the dominant leader in the global footwear market, taking about 30% of the market share, while Adidas has about 10%, New Balance has about 4%, and Under Armour 2%. And you can see, look at the graph for a visual on that. In the US, Nike holds about 48% of the market share. Nike is working towards achieving its goal of earning $50 billion in sales by 2020. Nike has also been known to endorse basketball players, tennis players, and other notable athletic players, and most recently they have endorsed the Summer Olympics. They have adopted the swoosh as their brand image and the slogan, "Just Do It." Nike must keep up with the trends and forces of the industry, but fortunately they have created a strong, loyal fan base to follow their brand as they innovate and create their products.
Nike is part of the footwear industry, which is worth almost $300 billion globally. Athletic shoes make up 30% of the industry. The market has been growing consistently and is estimated to increase 20% by the year 2019. The industry is highly fragmented with both large and small-sized companies such as Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, Lululemon, and Uniqlo. The product life cycle is in the mature stage because large firms have established themselves and are mainly focused on gaining market share. There is a high degree of product differentiation because the market is so competitive. Some key success factors include the ability to innovate and develop new products, a distribution network such as the retailers, and a low cost-efficient supply chain. Brand recognition is equally important to gain customers and establish customer loyalty. The threat of new entrants is weak because barriers to entry are moderate to high. These include established firms, high capital startup requirements, and economies of scale. Rivalry is a strong force because the market is saturated and firms are all fighting for market share. The intense competition puts pressure on firms to lower prices. The threat of substitutes is high. In this case, substitute products include brand alternatives and alternatives to athletic shoes. There is no real substitute for actual footwear. Buyer power is moderate because of the availability of alternatives and low switching costs. Supplier power, on the other hand, is weak because raw materials such as leather, nylon, and rubber are considered commodities. Therefore, firms can switch suppliers easily. Overall, the industry is profitable for established firms, but competition is fierce and barriers to entry for startup firms are very high. Nike's main competitor on a global scale is Adidas, and on a more local scale is Under Armour. Like Nike, Under Armour is an American company. They recently acquired FitnessPal in an effort to move into mobile technology. They went public in 2005 and have been growing rapidly ever since and expanding internationally. They recently debuted their new Stephen Curry sneaker, which was a huge success. The company has also been experimenting with casual athletic wear line. Adidas is a German company owning Reebok and TaylorMade. Adidas dominates the European market but has been gaining market share in the US quite rapidly. They have been doing well financially, in part due to their highly successful footwear and apparel collaborations with Kanye West, Stan Smith, and Stella McCartney. One of their downfalls has been the low growth and lackluster sales from their Reebok subsidiary.
Next are current and future trends. These are the trends that the industry will experience over the next 5 or 10 years. For political trends, many companies in the industry outsource their production overseas. Therefore, the political climate in those countries can have an impact on labor productivity. Government policies always have an effect on currency values as well. The economic forces that will be the estimated increase in GDP growth that the United States estimated. Also, international companies will have to face the risk of changing foreign exchange rates, and this can either be good for certain companies in certain countries, or it can have a negative effect by exchange rates being too high. And all these new emerging and growing population segments and markets will rapidly grow the market. For social trends, this includes the increase in individuals who now participate in fitness activities. There's also a new fashion trend called athleisure, and it's a sporty casual look that many women have gotten into, and as well as women getting into that fashion trend, the women's market alone is increasing in demand in this industry. There are many technological trends that are happening now, and they will obviously advance over the next few years. Devices are being linked to each other, such as Apple Watches and Apple phones. This makes access to any of your devices fit your life in any way and be able to adapt to your lifestyle regardless of how active or inactive one is. E-commerce is also rapidly growing, and online retail is becoming a cultural favorite. Environmental trends have shown that it is important for customers to purchase goods from those organizations that are green. And then for the legal trends, there are labor laws and trade regulations that go along with international trade as well. We also took a look at Nike's financial health. The company implements a differentiation strategy and markets itself as a premium price brand. For the liquidity ratios, there's the current ratio and the quick ratio. Both of these ratios are below the industry average and have been decreasing over the last 5 years. These ratios, however, should be over 1.0, showing that assets do outweigh the liabilities. So even though Nike's liquidity is below the industry average and has been decreasing, the ratios are still high enough over 1.0 to show that the company can adequately meet its current obligations. However, this can change. For the leverage ratios, Nike has started financing more of its assets with equity over the last 5 years over debt. Nike now, in 2016, finances about 75% of its assets with equity. This will appeal and attract to investors, but not too much to scare away lenders in case that they need an emergency loan. Nike is right above the industry average for leverage, so they are financially stable in both liquidity and leverage aspects. To continue about its financial health, we also can look at operating/activity ratios and profitability ratios. Operating ratios show how the company is performing at converting its assets to either cash or sales. Nike has decreased its efficiency on creating sales out of its assets over the last 5 years. This is most likely due to the excess inventory, but fortunately, Nike's inventory does not have a specific shelf life, so their product can have a little longer time to be on the shelf and not to worry about a perishable item. Over the years, the decrease was slight in the percentage, so the company is not at a point where they should worry about the effect this decrease has. Profitability ratios are different than operating ratios because profitability measures how well a company uses its investments for either assets or equity to return a profit. Nike has been performing very well when looking at its profits. Net margin and return on assets have increased about 20 to 26% over the last 5 years. Return on equity, on the other hand, has increased by over 43% since 2012. They are using capital from investors and they're being able to create a higher return for this. This is very attractive for investors, and investors will see this consistent and the growing return that they are receiving on their investments and either continue to be a loyal investor, or other investors will take this as a sign to start investing.
One of Nike's major strengths is their brand equity and recognition. Nike was recently voted the favorite brand among millennials, beating out Apple and Coca-Cola. They are also a market leader with global market share at 30%. They have the ability to innovate and are the third largest patent portfolio holders in the United States, and they have just created a Center for Innovation and Development. In terms of marketing, Nike has a large number of high-end athletes endorsing their brand, and they are financially stable. In terms of weaknesses, Nike is heavily dependent on wholesale partners, which make up 70% of their revenue. Recently, stock prices went down 13% and they lost share in the US because of rivals Adidas and Under Armour. Immediate demand forecasts are also low, and their fuel band technology was discontinued after low sales. As far as opportunities go, China is an estimated $15 billion sportswear market and is forecasted to grow 30% by 2020. The footwear market is also expected to grow 2% in the next 2 years. Online retail culture is prevalent and has grown 15% in the last 5 years and is expected to continue growing. The women's athletics segment is growing more as women are participating in sports events. In terms of threats, competition is the main threat that Nike faces, as well as imitation products that lower the perception of the brand, and currency fluctuations because of Nike's global presence. Based on our internal and external analysis, we recommend that Nike expand their presence in China as it has a huge growth and profit potential. The Chinese government plans to build 60% more sports facilities in the near future. And Nike has the ability to capture this new customer base and demand by developing products specifically for the Chinese customers and adjusting their marketing techniques. Brand recognition works in their favor, as well as the proximity to production facilities. Nike will be able to capture more global market share and establish themselves as leaders in emerging countries. Investing in technology infrastructure is also a lucrative strategic initiative. With online sales growth, Nike needs to expand their e-commerce platform to support the growth and to add value to customers. With the data created, Nike can use retail analytics to personalize the online shopping experience. Lastly, the women's athletic wear market holds great potential. Nike should tap into this market by developing innovative products and opening female athletic stores. The female market is forecasted to be a key driver of revenue in the future. Thank you for listening to our presentation.